Hey guys, Dr. Decks here. Today I want to answer some questions for you. We haven't done a Q&A in a while, and I was sick yesterday, so that meant that DJ Studio Man and Z Deck Man didn't get to work. So we're making up for it tonight in the lab, getting some of these questions out to you and hope that it answers some of your questions. Also, you can always leave them down below. I do my best to try and answer those questions as much as possible. Sometimes I get caught a little short, so apologize for that. Keep asking though. I try to reply to as many as possible. All right, so don't forget to click that subscribe button too. If you're getting something out of these videos, or you like something you've seen, or if you happen to breathe air or oxygen, hit that subscribe button. And if you want to be notified every time that we're putting out new content, which is usually 5 days a week, hit that bell icon as well. And if you want to learn how to bend deck boards just like all the pros do, don't forget to check out Dr. Deck's Masterclass. Sign up. It's not that much to learn. Educate yourself. Get involved. Learn how to be a deck board bender just like me. Okay, here we go. So I had a couple people ask, because I was sick yesterday, they want to know if I had COVID-19. I'm like, no COVID, I'm fine. Thanks for asking. Several asked, no, not COVID-19. Have you ever thought about doing a franchise? And the answer is yes. We have thought about a franchise, but I think where we're gonna go is maybe an affiliated program of certified deck companies that are Dr. Decks affiliated. I don't know if that's the same thing as a franchise. I don't have all certain things figured out yet, but you know, that's coming in the future. When I have the right people in place to help me with that, then I will probably explore that more. But as for now, I don't offer any kind of affiliation or endorsement program for current deck builders that want to tap into the Dr. Decks brand, but that's coming. Somebody that wants to know, what's the best deck advice for do-it-yourselfers? If it was up to me, I would do as much research as you possibly can and be sure to check your local building codes. It changes from state to state. It can change from county to county depending on your topography, your elevation, how high up in the mountains you are, how low towards the ocean you are. All these things matter. If you're in an earthquake zone, if you have really bad soils in your area, you got to get an engineer possibly to check that stuff out. So if you don't know, the best thing to do is do your research, get educated, and possibly consult a structural engineer if you need to. Okay, here's somebody that wants to know about posts continuing through the deck for railing or separate. I think what they're getting at is, do you do a surface mount, a fascia mount, or run your posts through the deck? It depends on the type of railing you're using. If you're using a composite rail system, usually those are post sleeves, so you have to put treated posts through the deck. If you're doing an aluminum rail system, usually you surface mount the post to the deck, but you don't have to have a 4x4 sticking through the deck. Traditionally, that's the kind of railing we use. We use a lot of Regal Ideas, aluminum hand railing. And when we use that product, we're surface mounting it right to the surface of the deck, and then we're just building up from there. Here's a question. Best idea for long-lasting deck, water below with ability to do can lights below with finished look? Question mark. There's several different ways to waterproof a deck. The ones that you can find a lot of the methods we use right here on YouTube. Just search around our page. We do a couple different ways, probably depending on the type of decking we're laying and depending on the design of the deck and if there's any surface borders going through the middle of the deck or not. We may use a waterproof bladder made out of an EPDM pond liner, or we'll use a product called Dry, which is actually going in between the deck boards, and that's what we're doing on this build we're on right now. As soon as we get the deck boards, we have all the Dry. There's a bunch of it sitting right here. The Dry is a cool system where you use AZEK decking and you have a rubber gasket that goes in between the deck boards, and you compress the boards and it makes the deck waterproof. You just got to create drainage for it. You got to frame the deck according to drainage. And then your other option would be to use waterproof aluminum decking. There's also vinyl systems and elastomeric roll-on coatings, but I don't believe in those too much. It rains a lot here in Washington State, and those elastomeric coatings always have to be reapplied every so many years. I've never really been trained on them. I don't use them too much, but for some people it's great. So those are the options I offer to my clients. And what type of wood do you recommend to mix with composite to save some money? I don't recommend mixing wood and composite decking together to save money. I think that you should, if you're going to try to save some money on your deck, go with a less expensive cap composite material like TimberTech. TimberTech's a great cap composite. They have an entry-level price board around $250 a lineal foot, I think. I use mostly a premium product, AZEC, and it runs about $450 a running foot. That $2.50 a square foot, or running foot, so $5 a square foot, really isn't going to impede my bottom line on what I'm building. But if you're on a budget and you're trying to save some money, you're going to save more money in the long run by just in maintenance alone if you go with the cap composite versus just going cheap and buying treated lumber or cedar. It's never going to look nice after the first year, and that composite deck's going to look great year after year after year. All you got to do is clean it once a year. So that's my advice. Save your money, wait another season if you have to, and then drop the dough on that cap composite instead of treated lumber. Best lighting in the game, in my opinion, would be Inlight Lighting. They have the best warranty, the best products, and the best people that work for the company. Oh, and they have one of the best brand ambassadors known to mankind. Okay, probably not feasible, but have you ever considered doing a deck with only curved deck boards? I have considered it. I've never pitched it to a client. I think it'd be very expensive to do that, depending on how many boards there are. I've seen it done before, and it is really cool, but it's a lot of work. Now, if I had somebody that absolutely had to have it, of course I would. I'd sell it in a PVC, I'd be selling them AZEC, and probably Cortexing it. Would you do a deck on the East Coast? I would consider it if logistics and finances worked out. I would have to be paid a premium to travel to the East Coast to build a deck for somebody. I'd have to be able to bring my team. I had to have limited amount of tools involved. I'd have to bring in another company that's licensed and bonded in that state so that I didn't get in trouble for not working with the contractor's license. I would work underneath that company and I would manage the project. I've thought about this. It's something we're doing. It's something, as a matter of fact, that I will be traveling this month to go interview with somebody. If you follow us on Instagram, you may get to witness part of that. You may get to see some of it, so stay tuned. Is too much deck blocking a thing? I think so. If you put too much deck blocking in and don't fasten it properly, that deck is gonna squeak. It's gonna shrink. Like right now, it's still the wet season. Summer starts on Saturday. The heat's gonna zap all of that moisture out of that wood. Everything's gonna shrink and your deck's gonna start squeaking if you have too much blocking and you don't use structural legs to put it together. Can you put a paver fire pit that uses propane on top of one of your decks? You sure can. It would be best if we knew where it would go and we would frame accordingly, and then we'd add extra support so that you could put whatever you want on the deck. We can frame for 100 pounds per square foot live load if we know that in advance. The hard part is when you want to do it after the fact, after we have the deck built already. That's when it becomes difficult. So plan ahead, plan accordingly, and absolutely we can do that for you. Building stairs for a deck, 12 feet long stairs using composite. How many wood stringers? It depends on your rise. So you got to take the total amount of inches in height and divide it by 7.5 to get an average of how many steps you need, and then you need to make an adjustment so that you have no more than 3/8 of an inch difference in elevation of height. I usually make all my stairs the exact same height, including the bottom one. Don't forget to subtract the thickness of your first stair material off the bottom of your lowest tread, or else the bottom step's going to be too tall. We have a tutorial here on our YouTube page about building stairs, so scroll back and look for it, and it'll definitely answer some questions for you. What is the best place to get G-tape? On Instagram, if you contact at G_tapes with plural, they can get you to the nearest distributor or closest distributor to you, or where you can purchase the product. How much support would a hot tub require? Hot tubs require more support than a standard deck will withhold. You need to consult a structural engineer to calculate how much weight you need to support. I cannot give you that information. I'm not a mathematician and I don't know that answer. So I always check with my structural engineer to figure out load requirements when I'm adding 4,000 pounds of water plus 1,000 pounds hot tub, plus people. You're gonna have to add another 7,000, 8,000 pounds. Usually we're safe at 8,000 pounds to calculate that. Best remedy for dealing with imperfect joist. When we get our lumber package, we immediately grade out all of our framing. We grade it from thickest to thinnest. We take all of the joists that we're using in a particular section of the deck, or maybe all the same length. I try to put a bunk or a beam or a post or something out to resemble the cantilever distance where the joists are gonna hit the beam, okay? That's usually about 2 feet away, 2 to 3 feet away from the outside of the joist. We crown everything, bow everything up first. After that's done, we put it all together, then I put a level across it and start teeter-tottering across the tops of the joists, right over the top of that bunk that's sitting below all the joists. Then I start marking every single joist. I mark an X on it for up, and then I start numbering them. The thickest joist is number 1. 1 gets pulled out of the pile, do it again, number 2. 2 gets pulled out of the pile, and so on and so forth until all 30 or 40 joists are all graded. Then we stack everything out of the way and grade the next length. We do that religiously on every project. After that, if you still have some really highly crowned joists, you may have to go through and shave the tops of the joists. Now, normally you wouldn't want to do that because it's pressure treated lumber, but it depends on how flat of a floor you want. Also, there's shrinkage and warpage after the deck is built. Can't always control that. You still may develop a hump in the deck. Most people aren't going to notice it unless you get down on eye level and look at the deck. Then you may notice it. But you know, it's lumber. It's not perfect. So there's no way we can make a deck perfect with imperfect lumber. Do you encourage your employees to build a social media profile to help the brand? I do encourage all of anybody that works with me to go ahead and post as much as they want on social media at work. I will pay them to actually put out posts as long as they tag Dr. Decks in that post. And that's the only thing I ask, is just tag Dr. Decks in it, and you can do as much of that as you need to within a certain amount of time. And if you're spending an hour and a half on the internet every day, I'm gonna be suspect to that. But if you wanna spend 10 or 15 minutes composing a couple posts and putting them out on your page, it not only helps them, but it helps me as well. I help my employees develop more followers, and then they reciprocate by tagging me in some stuff, and then my followers enjoy watching the other guys as they develop and learn and become better carpenters. Z Deckman is a great ad. You're fortunate to have him on your squad. Positive attitude dude. I agree. Z Deckman is a solid dude. Now Z is a great guy. He never complains. He's always positive. He has nothing but nice things to say. He's willing to learn. He realizes if he makes a mistake, and he usually doesn't make it again. That's the kind of people that I need to work for me, that not only talk good about me at work, but they talk good about me behind my back as well. And when they're behind closed doors, they're not spewing venom. So I love that about Nazi. I trust him 100%. He's a great guy. Give him a follow. @ZDeckman on Instagram. All right, guys, that's all I got for now. So if you have any other questions, or if I sparked a new question by answering these questions, don't forget to leave them down below, or you can always hit us up on Sundays on Instagram. Is kind of a question time for us, question day. So most Sundays I'm fielding questions. I had some problems with my question feed. I was only allowed to answer about half of them before things went bad. Anyways, thanks for watching. If you got something out of this video, please don't forget to click that subscribe button and hit the bell icon if you want to be notified when we're putting out fresh content. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.